Hey, I'm Deborah Betterly, and I'm a metaphysician and integrative wellness coach. And we're actually here today to talk to you about a subject that a lot of midlife women can relate to, and that is what the heck is the deal with midlife weight gain, and especially the weight around the middle. And I'm here with
I'm Val. I'm a longtime friend of Deb's, and she's absolutely correct with what is with this weight gain. I had a six pack, I turned 50, and now I have a fat pack.
And a lot of people can absolutely relate to that, and I know I certainly can. In my younger version of myself, I was my background is health and fitness and weight management, and I knew it all, and I followed my own advice, and um, was at my best weight, and I felt great, and um, life sort of just caught up to me. It was when I turned 50, I guess, when everything started to change. And it was when it was actually not that long ago, about a year ago, when I stepped on the scale and I realized that I had put on 20 pounds. Now, I know that sounds weird because I don't normally step on the scale. And the reason I don't is my background also includes um, eating disorder awareness and prevention. And part of that was never to step on the scale and never to um, measure who you are and you know, how you like yourself or don't like yourself depending on how much you weigh. And so I just became one of those people who never weighed myself unless I went to the doctor. And even then I would step on the scale backwards. So I just did it one day, realizing, my clothes are getting tighter. I've had to go up a size. I'm just going to check and see how much I weigh now. And oh my God, it was 20 pounds more.
It happens before you know it. And you're not, at this point, you feel like I haven't really changed anything. Why am I having this big change in my body? But herein lies the issue. You do need to change things. And that's the one thing Deb and her program, has really helped me to understand as well.
Absolutely. And the other part of it is you just can't beat yourself up about it because truthfully, some of it is not your fault. And we're going to go through some of this, but it is a rude awakening. Midlife kind of hits you, and boom, it seems like out of nowhere, the weight starts to come on, and it's just not as easy to take it back off again as it
It's
used
frustrating,
to be.
very
Right?
frustrating.
Yeah. So we're going to go through some of the factors that cause midlife weight gain, and maybe you can relate to some of these as we go along, and we're going to talk a little bit about how we can certainly relate to some of these. But these are some of the facts, and this is what happens. The first thing that we often go through is just the natural side effects of aging, and that is that we start to lose testosterone. And testosterone is the muscle building hormone, and when we lose muscle, it's often replaced by fat, and we're going to burn fewer calories. Our metabolism is going to be changed as we age, and it's kind of sneaky. It just happens slowly over time, and it just sneaks up on you. So you're naturally going to be burning fewer calories as you get older. Kind of a bummer, huh?
It is, definitely. For all of us, for sure.
Absolutely. Hormones really play a huge part in midlife weight gain. Hormonally, our ovaries are producing less estrogen, and our fat cells in the body are what generate estrogen, and so the body ends up working harder to convert calories into fat to increase estrogen in our bodies. So, because of course we just said this, fat cells don't burn calories, right? Muscle burns calories. Metabolism ends up going down, and unwanted fat sort of creeps up. Estrogen also is associated with the loss of subcutaneous fat, and that's the fat, as you know, that lies just under the skin. And it is responsible for the increase in visceral fat, which is the fat that is around our organs. And that's actually the dangerous kind of fat.
Right.
It's a fat that is associated with heart disease and stroke, for example. So if this wasn't bad enough, right, we've got these two factors. We've got the hormone testosterone being decreased, our hormone estrogen being decreased, and then all of that resulting in a lower metabolism. We also have what we did 10 to 15 years ago affecting us today. And, you know,
It seems so wrong.
it
does.
It truly does. I mean, really, as our younger version of ourselves, you know, we didn't have all this going on. We had more muscle naturally on our bodies. We burned more fat naturally. Our metabolisms were better. And especially if you were someone who did exercise and keep yourself fit, you probably didn't have too much of an issue.
Right.
And so you kind of felt like you could eat
Anything,
you know, and for a while you could, right? But if you continue some of these unhealthy habits, certainly you're going to notice then with the reduced metabolism, you're going to start putting on some weight. And as I said, it's very sneaky. It's sneaky because with the loss of just 1% to 2% of lean muscle over a decade, many women are suddenly waking up to 10, 15, 20 extra pounds seemingly out of the blue.
right. The big question is, how did this happen?
Exactly, and that's what people are asking themselves, how in the world did this happen? But if we look back on our lifestyle, we can
Right.
probably pick out a few things.
Even if we don't want to.
Even
Yes.
if we don't want to. You know, and I certainly am guilty. I know that my lifestyle, and we're going to go into some other factors that contributed to the weight gain, but there's a lot of things that happen over time. Stress, for example, and emotional eating due to the stress. And, you know, there's so many lifestyle factors that come into play. So really, you have to take a little bit of responsibility for the things that you've done in your past that have led to the weight gain
And where we are today.
and where we are today, exactly. And then, of course, there's insulin resistance. Now, that term is thrown around a lot, and it's especially prevalent for people in their 50s and 60s. When we were, again, our younger versions of ourselves, the low-fat, high-carb diet was the thing. That was the way to go.
Right.
And so we were eating a lot of refined sugars, a lot of processed foods and carbs, and not realizing back then how bad that was for our systems and for our metabolisms and for the process of insulin in our body. What happens if we continue that lifestyle, and I have to say I continued it for quite a while, your body will then produce extra insulin in order to metabolize the sugar and use it for energy in your body. And when we have too many insulin surges, our fat cannot be used for energy, and so it continues to stay stored in our body. Again, your body is recompositioning over time because of all of these factors, and as you can clearly see, you're increasing your fat as you're decreasing your muscle, and with that your metabolism is tanking.
It's changing.
It's changing, Everything is changing.
And it's difficult too, because some of the things that we hear at one point about what we should eat, we only find out a few months later that they reversed this decision, and these are things you should not eat. So it's very difficult, and this is where you need to have someone who can really get you on the right path.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot to keep track of.
Right.
And you have to stay educated. You have to, or at least plug into someone who is educating themselves and able to teach you what you can do to reverse some of these
Absolutely.
changes. So I talked about stress. Stress is a huge factor in weight management. So even if you usually eat really well and you exercise, chronic stress can prevent you from losing weight and even cause you to gain weight. And this is due to another hormone, those darn hormones.
I know, they're messing everything
They
up.
are, holy crap. So this hormone is called cortisol. And this is released when you're stressed, and it encourages your body to store fat, and especially in the abdomen and around the organs as a protective mechanism.
The worst area.
The worst area. And that's the area most midlife women are going to find that the fat starts piling up. And, like I said, it's the most dangerous kind of fat. So health-wise, it's really important to pay attention to that. There's also an important connection between inflammation, weight gain, and the hormone, another hormone called leptin. Leptin is the hormone that regulates your body's level of fat by controlling appetite and metabolism. So if your body is working correctly, if your hormone leptin is working correctly, when you're adding fat tissue, your body will naturally suppress your appetite and speed up your metabolism, right? But the problem today is that there's so many inflammatory foods available and readily available on the market. And let me tell you what kinds of foods those are. And these are not limited to just these foods, but we're talking about high-fat dairy, farmed fish, vegetable oils, refined flours and sugars, as we've already mentioned, and fatty and fried foods. And then, of course, all the processed foods, the canned foods, the packaged foods, and things like that. These are inflammatory, and when we get inflammation in our body, what happens is the brain, it impairs the brain's ability to receive the leptin signals. And so our appetite suppression message does not get received. And so we actually eat more, we crave more, and then you add the stress and the emotion and everything else going along with the added weight gain. Your body's, again, just continues to put on the pounds.
Well, yeah, it's taxed from all directions until you start to do the right things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know we're not here to depress you. We're just here to kind of wake you up to what's going on so that we can start reversing these factors and making a difference. So we've already gone through, let's see, 6 different factors. We talked about aging and the decrease in testosterone. We talked about the decrease in estrogen. We talked about our lifestyle leading up to our 50s and 60s. We talked about insulin resistance. We talked about stress and emotions, and we talked about inflammation and the hormone leptin and how that influences us. A couple of other ones to just kind of finalize this with you is lack of sleep. I know I can certainly relate to that. How about you?
I can, with hot flashes and tossing and turning. I'm up, I'm down, I'm hot, I'm cold. So yeah, absolutely that affects the sleep.
Yeah, and whether it's the number of minutes you get or the quality of sleep, it is going to affect your weight. Your metabolism is just not going to function properly when you don't get enough sleep. That's just a fact. The other and final factor that we have for you today is simply lack of knowledge. And just to kind of go back to everything we've talked about, how many of you already knew all of this about your body as you age?
Well, I can say I knew some of it, but I didn't know all of this.
All of it, yeah. And, did you know why you were gaining the weight when you felt like you were doing all the right things or all the same things as you've always done as a younger version of yourself, which has always worked for you in the past,
Right.
right? Um, there's certainly a lack of understanding
Absolutely.
about all of this. And are you doing everything that you know to do, even with some understanding, and still struggling to lose weight, when it used to be so easy to take those pounds off? And did it creep up on you like it did for Val and I? Did you suddenly, in a sense, I know it sounds weird, but you kind of wake up one day and realize, oh my gosh.
It's like an episode from the Body Snatchers. That's exactly how you feel.
Exactly. Yeah. But now you know that it's not entirely your fault, right? And with that knowledge, when you know better, you do better. Have you heard that saying?
Exactly.
Right? You can make some changes. You can reverse some of the things that we talked about. And the Midlife Mastery Program is the program that I've developed to help you do that. It's a real life program, and it's designed to educate and inform you of the strategies that you will need to incorporate in order to move forward, in order to, number one, gain back your health. Your body has a natural ability to heal itself, and you have to be healthy and in order to lose weight the correct way. And you want to do it in a healthy way, in a lifestyle change kind of way. We certainly don't want to do it in a way that we're depriving ourselves and feeling, like, let's hurry up and get this over with so we can get on with our life kind of way. We know that doesn't work. By the time you're 50 and 60, you've done it all. You know by then that that's not the way to go, right?
Absolutely.
But we want to reach a healthy weight, and we want to do it in a healthy way, and so that we can live out our lives in a happy, joyful lifestyle change, kind of way. So it's really about loving yourself to a healthier weight in the end. Truly about, living your life and doing it and making changes in a way that, I'm not saying this is going to be easy at all. It's certainly, you have to make a commitment to make some changes that are certainly going to take some time to become habit in your life. But it's absolutely doable and absolutely possible, and we're ready to take you there.
Agreed.
Sound good? If that sounds good to you, sign up below, and we'll see you on the other side.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.